With what?
That he be chairman.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
That's 2 to 2. Not necessarily. Kathy doesn't like it. Oh.
Ready, Kathy? Why don't we call this work session to order? Sorry we're a little behind today. Be a lot of lunch questions and. All right, let's just kick this off. If we could call up Steve Walsh, Director, Department of Public Works. If the council could turn to page 16, and we'll just dive right into fiscal matter 4. So that's page 16, fiscal matter 4. Sorry for the delay. Good afternoon, Mr. Walsh.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Fiscal Matter 4 is a contract, and the administration is requesting approval of the contract with Teledyne ISCO, business unit of Teledyne Instruments Incorporated, to provide repair, maintenance services, equipment, and replacement parts for the county's Teledyne ISCO sanitary sewer open channel flow meters. Contract began October 31st of last year, would continue to August 5th, 2019. It may not exceed $25,000 unless approved by the council. If approved, the contract would continue through October 30th of 19 this year and would renew automatically for 4 additional one-year periods. Compensation may not exceed the amount appropriated for these services during the entire term of the contract, and the estimated compensation would total about $300,000 for the entire term of the contract. And you may not, or if you remember, the county is still under federal consent order for our sewer system. These meters are needed for us to verify that the projects we're doing are being effective in reducing infiltration and inflow into the sewer system.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Walsh from the council? Councilwoman Bevins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Walsh, not on this particular item, but I just wanted to thank you personally. I drove Ebenezer Road for the first time today. It's just about finished, except for the painting, and it's really an improvement to the community, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Councilman Marks?
And on that same vein, thank you for the work now occurring on Joppa Road.
Anybody else? Everybody good? Councilman Crandall.
We're waiting for the crews to arrive in the 7th District.
All righty. All right. And Mr. Walsh, I think you do have one other one. I think it's miscellaneous business too, page 35. Page 35.
Resolution 80-19 is about the expansion of a residential permit parking area known as Parking Area E along the Padonia Road section of the county near the Delaney High School. And hopefully there's a map in your package which can show you the area that we're talking about. Is there 2 maps in your package? Just want to make sure you're looking at the right thing. 2 maps made your package?
Let's check page. One sec.
Page 37.
Yeah, page 37.
So Article 18, Title 2, Subtitle 4 of the County Code sets forth the procedures, eligibility criteria, and requirements for the residential permit parking program. The community sent a petition in to the county, and that petition met the requirements to trigger a study. We did the study and evaluation, had a public hearing, and the folks out there agreed that the process and the area would qualify for this program. The area that we're talking about include the addresses at number 224 to 254 and 260 to 290 and number 231 on Padonia Road. And basically, if you look at the map, the entire area around the high school basically is encompassed by a permit parking zone now, so we think that'll help the community greatly.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman?
I want to thank the department very much for what had happened is that we wanted to make sure that this occurred before school starts. And so you accelerated the process, and I appreciate it. And obviously Monday, hopefully it'll pass, and the much-needed program will be in place. Tired of cars parked blocking driveways, et cetera. So this should solve the problem.
Any other questions or comments from the council for
Yes,
Mr. Walsh?
Mr.
Councilman
Chair.
Crandall?
Mr. Walsh, I don't believe that we have any permit parking in the 7th District, certainly not during my first term or this term. So I'm a little naive to the cost associated with it to the resident. Is there an annual fee? And if so, what is that fee? And is it a set fee countywide, or is it specific to the district that's being in place?
Just the cost of the sticker, which is $36, I believe, and once they get that sticker, they're good.
And that's annually?
I don't think it's annually. I think it's just buying the sticker, and once you have it,
One
you have
time?
it. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's a flat fee across the whole county?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council? All right, thank you, Mr. Walsh. We do have one public speaker, and Jennifer Erdman, if you want to come up. We have one public speaker, Jennifer Erdman. And Ms. Erdman, you have up to 3 minutes to speak, and if you want to make your way right up to the microphone. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming.
I brought, I don't know if you need it on pictures of cars from the high school, that they are blocking our driveways, that we can't get out. We can't, when they're lined all the way up and they don't park on the curb, we can't even see to get out. We pretty much just kind of pray and go. And I have a concern that with the bike path now, or the bike lane, which is a great idea, but if they're parking there and if we can't see cars, we're not going to be able to see bikes either if they're driving there, and unfortunately they would get hurt. But he covered, I guess, everything. I just brought, some pictures where we would have to call the tow trucks to come, so we can't get out of our driveway. I feel that kids don't, and the trash, they don't respect our property where they're parking. They just kind of leave their stuff and go. I feel the permit parking should alleviate that, and it would be the homeowners, and we all respect each other, and we park appropriately so we can all see our neighbors.
Great. Thank you.
That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move forward, and why don't we call up Mr. Rob O'Connor, Director of Office of Information Technology. And if the council could turn to page 20, this is an amendment to a contract for power and combustion, page 20. And good afternoon, Mr. O'Connor.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the council. The administration is requesting an amendment to a contract with Power and Combustion Incorporated to continue to provide inspection, maintenance, and repair services for the county's computer-related HVAC equipment and systems at various county sites. The proposed amendment increases the maximum compensation by $241,330 from $502,883 to $744,213 for the entire 5-year, 4-month term of the contract, including the renewal extension periods. The contract commenced on June 1st, 2015.
Questions or comments from the council? All right, then we have an addendum for the contract for Woolpert.
Correct. The administration is requesting an amendment to extend the Woolpert contract, Woolpert Incorporated in Baltimore County, to April 6, 2024, and remove the attachment A, replacing it with a revised attachment A, which adds the GSA schedule pricing for the contract years 2019 to 2024. The Office of Information Technology will continue to utilize Woolpert Incorporated to assist with its efforts to define best practices, design software, and process standards. Woolpert is currently being utilized to replace a outdated and no longer supported CastWorks system. The end of support is within the next 18 months. We're replacing it with a enterprise-wide CityWorks asset management work order system.
Questions or comments? Great. Thanks so much. That was easy. All right. Is Amy Grossi here? Is Amy? Oh. That's page 25. Page 25, Fiscal Matter 7. Good afternoon, Ms. Grossi.
Not a moment too soon. The administration is requesting approval of a contract to sell approximately .388 acres of surplus county property, a portion of the previously closed Old Craddock Lane roadbed in Owings Mills, to Valley Village Associates, LLP, the owner of the adjacent shopping center, for $209,000. This is the appraised value. We had 2 appraisals. They were reviewed by our review appraisal staff. The closed roadbed is going to be part of the access to the shopping center, and the fire department has been involved. They've kept access to a fire hydrant that would have been impacted, and we are retaining a drainage and utility easement over water main.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Grossi? Everybody good? Easy enough. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All righty. Why don't we keep moving? We'll call up Ms. Terry Rising. If council members could turn to page 4. And I think this is the addition of the Glen Arm Railroad Station, which I think did a wonderful job when they came in, for sure. And good afternoon, Ms. Rising.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Council. Bill number 3419 involves the placement of the Glen Arm Railroad Station and setting, excluding the post-1981 additions and sheds at 5205 Glen Arm Road and Glen Arm on the final landmarks list. It was placed on the preliminary landmarks list by vote of the Baltimore County Landmarks Preservation Commission in accordance with county law on June 14th, 2018. And we had a public hearing in front of the County Council on June 3rd. There is a capsule summary in your package that summarizes the property significance, and we discussed that at the public hearing. So we would be looking for your support.
Any questions or comments from the council? Everybody good? Excellent.
Thank you
so much. Appreciate it. All right, so let's next call Thomas Joseph, Department of Aging. Council could turn to page 28. We'll do Fiscal Matter 8, page 28. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, council members. The administration is requesting approval of a memorandum of understanding with Northwest Hospital Center for its cooperation in data collection in support of the Department of Aging's Hospital to Home program. This program supports Baltimore County residents transitioning from hospital to a home or community-based setting. Hospital to home assistance includes care transition information, person-centered planning, access to community services, assistance in enrollment in Medicaid programs, and service coordination. The MOU commenced on January 1, 2019 and continues through August 31st, 2019 and may be extended by mutual written agreement. The county will reimburse the hospital an amount not to exceed $30,000 for data collection services related to the Hospital to Home program.
Any questions or comments? Everybody good? Okay, why don't we do page 32, Fiscal Matter 9.
The administration is requesting approval of a memorandum of understanding with Comprehensive Housing Assistance to provide the coordination and service of on-site meals through the Department of Aging's Congregate Meals program at the Weinberg Terrace Senior Housing Apartments in Pikesville. This applies to individuals that are at least 60 years old or disabled persons of any age. This MOU is a service-for-service agreement through which the contractor does not receive any compensation.
Questions or comments? All righty, thanks so much, appreciate it. Next, why don't we call up the director from Cadensville, Mr. Will Anderson, and if the council could turn to page 1, Bill 32-19. Good afternoon, Mr. Anderson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I bring you an easy one. I bring you a good one. One of the things we need in this country and in this county is young people working, and that includes getting more young people in the public sector. And so before I jump into my appropriation request, I just wanted to introduce the council to one of our newest team members, Kevin Armstrong. Kevin runs our youth management program and has brought a ton of energy into our team, as evidenced by the expansion of some of our youth programs. We've got bold ambitions to grow our youth programs, and Kevin is part of that. Also part of it is Lola Cavers is our intern from Towson High School, Councilman Marks. And she came in with some of her classmates in the Law and Public Policy program to see how the government works, and is now interning with us to work on this very project.
Great, excellent.
Yeah. So the matter at hand here is expanding our youth program that we do every summer. You may remember we have this Summer Youth Connects program where we're trying to work with homeless Baltimore County public school students and put them through a program that is employment and services on top of that employment about setting career goals, understanding financial literacy. And we've been happy to have that program hover at about 100 students every year. But we tried to bump it up this year, and in doing so, we need this new appropriation. So we're expanding the program from 99 kids to 149 kids. It's awesome, it really is, because we're placing a lot of these students in jobs, but we're also working with the Y and with Weinberg and this new Horizons 2 program. So that's why I'm coming back to you to appropriate $90,000 on top of it, because the State Department of Labor expanded the program at our request. And the county has no match requirement here, so
That's
it's
great.
kind of a home run.
We like that.
Yeah.
Any questions, comments from the council? Councilman Jones?
Yeah, Mr. Anderson, let me guess, I can't speak for everyone, but I think I'm pretty close. We're pretty excited and very supportive of anything involving youth employment. We think there's more kids out there who want jobs than we have jobs, and it's good to know that we're working on trying to come up with more programs and give them more opportunities. So thank you.
And you should know Kevin Armstrong is a resident of your district, so we've got our youth guy living out there working in your community.
That's great. Councilman Couch?
Yeah, just very quickly, what address is used for a homeless youth? Doesn't there have to be an address?
It's a great question. We get the referrals through Baltimore County Public Schools system.
Okay.
So they're doing all of the tracking of students and how they record an address. I'm unaware, and we could certainly make that inquiry to the school system, or our CAO could answer it.
There's a couple ways. Good afternoon, council members. There's a couple ways. Based on federal definition of homelessness, they could be, they can use an address from a family member because they may be there, but that's not their resident. And in some instances, that shelter, whatever shelter address, can be used as well, because they can use that for X amount of time. But there's flexibility in there for lots of programs. Now, there were some barriers there for a while, but changes with federal definitions have helped ease that.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Crandall?
Thank you. Great program, Mr. Anderson. Thank you for your work and for introducing your new staff to us. Welcome. Just a couple questions. We had a large conversation yesterday about interagency collaboration and cooperation.
Yep.
Is there any attempt within this program to maybe reach the parents through this program and either get BCPS social workers or Dr. Branch's people or planning's people to maybe see what we could do about finding housing?
That's a great question, Councilman. There's several different youth programs that we run and are trying to expand, and we're trying to do just that. For example, one of the interns is placed in our Department of Aging. We're trying to get add-on services wherever we can pull the parents in. The financial literacy work we did with Junior Achievement was aimed at the students, but they also try to pull the parents in while they're there. So adding those layers is a great idea. We have some very specific restrictions on this specific grant that we're bringing to you, but that sort of dogpiling of services is the right way to go.
Okay, and I'm also wondering about private sector participation. I realize that this is to get our young people in government, but in other aspects of the program, is the private sector involved at all with providing opportunity?
Yep. We're placing all 149 of these students, and they're not all coming into county government. We're placing them in the private sector as well. I just wanted to highlight that because it's a goal that we have inside the administration to bring them in. But yeah, we're working through our economic development side to place them in private sector as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Crandall wanted to say, Mr. Anderson shared about homeless students, but also foster youth can be serviced. So there is a cross-reference, and one of the priorities, because this is an area that I'm working with Mr. Anderson and his staff to expand our offerings on the private sector side is to do just that, to try to identify the trending, using the trend data on jobs and emerging jobs to try to align career pathing for students. So it's not just like a summer experience, but helping them to track where they would like to explore job opportunities so they're in a path, and to be able to service more students along the economic continuum, because there's programs for low-income students, foster kids, but we want to be able to offer a broader continuum and tapping into the private sector based on where they see their emerging growth and need for employees is where we're going.
Any other questions or comments? Everybody good? Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Mr. Anderson. Okay, moving right along, why don't we turn to page 42. We'll call Mr. Keith Williams from the Department of Rec and Parks. And this is page 42, miscellaneous business item number 5. And good afternoon, Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Council. The administration is requesting approval of the fiscal year 2020 Arts and Science grants in the amount of $2,830,800. These grants will be awarded to cultural and artistic nonprofit organizations as approved by the Council during the fiscal year 2020 budget process. The funding sources include $2,023,300 in county general funds, $627,500 in tourism program funds, and $184,000 in state grant funds. The request will fund a total of 42 operational grants, 4 capital endowment grants, and 34 project grants.
And a question I have for you is, I know there's still possibly some uncertainty with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra.
I thought you might ask that question.
Yes,
To be determined.
Yes.
Is that an Ed Blade special going on there?
Yes, we're still tabulating the cost of the Oregon Ridge event that we had on July 3rd. And I believe that the plan right now is that we'll look and see what those total costs are, and that we'll be using part of the grant funds partially for that purpose. And then members of the administration are planning on meeting with the BSO to talk about the balance of that grant.
Because the way I understand it, if I understand it correctly, is there was a clawback provision on some of the agreement we had in place that's going to offset some of the cost incurred from...
Yes, because the grant application that the BSO submitted to the Commission on Arts and Sciences, a large portion of that grant talked about the concert that they have on July 3rd at Oregon Ridge. So it really is in keeping in line with what they outlined in their grant request.
Other questions, comments from the council? I know this is one that always brings lots of conversation. Is everybody good?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Koch?
Just a request to the administration, as I take a look at this list, the Baltimore County organizations that are getting aid or grants, they're very modest compared to some of the organizations that are not in Baltimore County, and I would appreciate if the administration would take a look at that and put more emphasis on the Baltimore County-centered organizations.
Other questions or comments from the council? Everybody good? Going once? Twice? All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Why don't we turn to the addendum now? We'll look at Bill 33-19 and call it Major Dennis Delp, Colonel David Folderauer, Baltimore Police. I didn't know if anybody else from the group wanted to come up. Drew Vitter, and anybody else you want to come on up? Chief? Chief's coming up. And this is the addendum. So this is the Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force that we spent a fair amount of time reviewing, but it's the addendum. Bill 33-19. We'll tackle that one first before we get to the other items for everyone. And good afternoon, Chief. Good afternoon, Mr. Vitter. Good afternoon to the whole team. I appreciate you guys being here and the continued education we're constantly getting when it comes to enforcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the council. We are here to request a supplemental appropriation in order to enable the county to serve as the fiduciary for a program known as OCDEF, that stands for Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force, a substantial federal acronym, but this is an important initiative that the county is proud to participate in. There are 17 OCDEF task forces that exist throughout the country. The Baltimore region would be the 18th. The program has been under discussion with our partners in the federal government and in the state government for the last several years, and it's finally coming together. The county police has been committed to participate in this task force for a long time. I asked members of the Drug Enforcement Task Force, or the DEA, as well as Mike Hanlon from the U.S. Attorney's Office, to come and speak a little bit about the program's history and what it will do here in the Baltimore region. But essentially, it's a local, state, federal task force that's focused on violent crime and organizations that are trafficking drugs, often connected to acts of violence, not just in Baltimore City, but also across the borders with surrounding jurisdictions as well, including Baltimore County. The county was approached by our federal partners and asked to serve in this fiduciary role. Essentially, we'll be responsible for working with the lease, where all of the federal agencies will be co-located, as well as handling some of the operational expenses of the task force. We felt that this was an important initiative given concerns that we have about violent crime in the region and the impacts on Baltimore County, and feel that this is an important example of regional collaboration on an important issue.
Excellent, and I think Councilman Koch yesterday at the strategic planning session said it correctly. You know, if citizens don't feel safe, they leave and they run as quick as they can. And so I think obviously this work's very important. I was reading some of the cases that this group has gone after, and these are some pretty serious offenders and criminals and really, really bad guys. So I know from the council perspective, we really appreciate the service of everybody that's really putting their lives at risk, going after some really, really, really dangerous people and people that are going to create a lot of the fear of citizens if not kept in really good check. So, council members, any questions, comments, Councilman Jones?
Yes, Mr. Vetter and Chief, I guess want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to participate in some way in this activity by casting our votes. I look forward to supporting the measure because I think it's important that we do anything and everything we can to curb the violence that seem to be permeating some of our neighbors as well as our own communities. So I look forward to supporting the measure. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. And I wanted to briefly recognize the partners that we have here. In addition to Chief Hyatt, we have Don Hibbert, who is the Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Baltimore office for the DEA, as well as Mike Hamlin, who's an Assistant U.S. Attorney with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Baltimore region. And in the audience, we also have Jeff Beeson, who's the Executive Director of the Baltimore-Washington HIDA, also involved in this effort.
Councilman Jones?
No, I'm a wait for my councilwoman to, and then I'll reserve my comment.
Yield your
later.
time?
Yeah, I yield my
Okay.
time.
Councilwoman Bevins?
To the gentlewoman from Essex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would also just like to echo what the chairman said. Thank you so much for the time that you gave the council today to allow us to ask questions. I also believe this is very important work when we are out in our communities. I think I could probably speak for almost everyone on this day as crime is the number one thing that is talked about in our communities. And I think that having a collaboration like this, a regional collaboration, is a smart thing to do. And I certainly think it's important work, and I thank all those who are involved. Yes.
Ms. Rogers?
Yes, I might add that there are many communities across the country that would want to be the next OCDF site, and we're just honored that from the federal level they're honoring our request to be the next OCDF site. So I think we're in a very good place, and the recognition that we have the capacity to do this.
Right. I think it is a great opportunity. Our only concerns were the fiduciary matters at hand, so those questions were answered this afternoon.
Councilman Crandall?
I just want to thank our law enforcement personnel and our prosecutors that are here today that are part of this team. I agree with Councilwoman Bevins that crime, drug-related crime, violence associated with it has certainly touched Baltimore County. And these criminals that do these things, they cross jurisdictional lines. So participation on the federal, state, and local level in order to put these people out of business and get them behind bars, and hopefully our judges are listening, and they will go behind bars for a really long time, it's essential to help us get a handle on this opioid crisis, the fentanyl crisis associated with it. So I just want to commend you all for your work so far on this. And I, too, look forward to supporting the bill. And I will say that, on an emotional level, we had a triple shooting just this past weekend. I was with probably 50 or 60 county agency heads and multiple police with the county executive in the community where this incident happened. It's widely believed that this is a drug-related incident. So this is an example of the violence that is touching our communities. And I think Baltimore County should be proud that we've been asked to take some aspect of a lead on this regional strike force. So thank you all for your work.
Councilman Jones?
No, I just wanted to also say that based on the explanation, I was sitting there sort of taken back, and I just thought how important it was that there be some unified command and some coordination with all the agencies that are out there. And I was sort of struck by just the notion that in some cases there are no unified command, that You have the DEA doing one thing, you have the FBI doing something else, and sometimes they're operating on the same thing, and it seems like nobody knows until, I guess, you get way down the road. And I was sort of taken back that it wasn't this way already. So we certainly look forward to voting on it, and I think the efforts of Unified Command being able to coordinate resources and personnel and activities are much needed and appreciated.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman Katz?
Yeah, I just want to say that I think this is a tribute to our police department as well. I mean, they've been very effective, and for the federal government to want to work with our police says a lot, and I appreciate it so much. I represent Baltimore County above the Beltway, and I can assure you that the drug problem, it doesn't matter where you live, it's an issue. It affects almost everyone. I think there's very few families that aren't impacted in some way, and this program is something that we must do. We must make this work, and I appreciate you so much for putting this together. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, I also did the county executive's office. I think this is a creative approach, and I think it's a needed approach, and I think we have to do everything we can to just hold that line and push back, and just can't say enough good things about the people that are executing this program and making this program happen, because it really is the fight we need to be in. But it's very dangerous as well, so we appreciate all the work for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. And then we got two more things in this section here. So I guess page 11, we'll go to contract 2 with Airbus helicopters. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and council members. The administration is requesting approval of a contract with Airbus Helicopters Incorporated to provide annual pilot transition and refresher training for the Police Department's aviation unit. The contract commenced on March 1st, 2019 and continues until December 31st, 2019 and may not exceed $25,000 unless approved by the council. If approved, the contract will continue through December 31st, 2023. Compensation may not exceed amount appropriated for these services during the entire contract term. The estimated compensation totals $117,862 for the entire 4-year, 10-month term. The contractor will provide annual helicopter pilot transition and refresher training to the pilots in the Police Department's aviation unit. They will be held on site at the Police Department's aviation unit in Middle River and consist of 5 days of instruction, including refresher and in-flight emergency procedures and ground school maintenance updates. The department advised that it has 6 helicopters. All new pilots must complete the manufacturer-approved pilot ground and flight training school, and all pilots must participate in a formal recurrent training program. This is required by the underwriter for the insurance company. The fee schedule outlines the 5 years coverage and also a 3% annual price increase in the contract. It was a non-competitive award secured in the best interest of the county, since Airbus is the manufacturer that designed and built the department's helicopters, and because the Airbus factory instructor pilots have the most expertise in the area of flight emergency training for this specific model of helicopter, it is requested that they are the ones who provide the training.
Any questions or comments from the council on the helicopters? We have 6 helicopters in the county?
Yes.
Okay. And we have six pilots?
We have 6 pilots that are trained in them.
Okay. Other questions, comments? Everybody good? Okay. Let's keep moving then. Page 14, fiscal matter 3. That's for Bode Cellmark for forensics.
I have our biology supervisor, Mr. Lar Pawlowski, is going to speak to this. He's a subject matter expert.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Pulowski. I'm supervisor of the biology DNA lab for the forensics department in the police department. We're asking for approval of a contract with Bodie Cellmark Forensics to provide validation services for the DNA unit. The validation service would cost $69,900, and all that funding would be covered under an NIJ grant, so that would not be coming out of the county budget. This was put out on bid. We received 2 bids, and we selected the lower bid. Once the validation service is complete, it will not be any additional funding required from the county. What we're asking to be validated is 2 parts. One is the Y-Filer Plus kit. The other is a Y-Screen assay. The Y in this refers to male. We have a big challenge in the biology unit for screening sexual assault kits. We often are challenged what's the best sample to go forward. We have to figure out and basically sometimes guess which sample will contain the best DNA or the amount of DNA we need. That Y-Screen assay will allow us to take small samples from every swab in the kit, and it will tell us within a few hours which samples have male DNA and how much male DNA. We can then triage the samples and determine the best way forward. The Y-Screen validation then is also a kit, the Y-Filer Plus, that targets male DNA. Another challenge we have is oftentimes in sexual assault cases, we end up with very little male DNA. It's very hard to get a usable profile. And by usable, that means anything that we can take forward for prosecution. The Y-Filer Plus kit will actually target male-only DNA and allow us to separate it out. Therefore, this would provide better results for both the courts and for our citizens in the county.
Questions or comments from the council? Is this under Doug Irwin's group? Is this?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody good? Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, AB. Okay, why don't we go to Mr. Director Ed Blades, page 8, Fiscal Matter 1. And good afternoon, Director Blades. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Chairman, members of council? The administration is asking for your approval on 2 contracts for estimating vehicle damage for our liability claims management unit. The 2 contractors are John M. Haynes Jr., doing business as Insurance Appraisal Company of Maryland, and Michael Quirk. The contractors are to provide estimating services for vehicle, body, or frame damage on county or civilian-owned vehicles, and work will be assigned to the contractors based on their specialty and the location of the damaged vehicle. This is a 1-year contract with 4 additional 1-year renewals, and compensation for both contracts combined may not exceed $35,000 for the entire term.
Any questions or comments for Director Blades? Everybody good? Yep. Okay. Why don't the council then next turn to page 7, Bill 35-19, Councilman Katz.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Bill 3519 will allow the construction of over 400 apartment units at the Hunt Valley Town Center. The Sears went out of business. I think I'll withdraw the bill.
Chris Mudge is coming.
I'm only kidding. I'm not really. But Sears went out of business, and the owners of the Hunt Valley Town Center purchased the property from Sears, and they want to construct 400 apartment units. There's already 300 and some there that are fully rented. You realize that's at the end of the light rail. Unfortunately, the light rail is the biggest loser as far as mass transit goes in the state of Maryland, with a fare box recovery of 16%, but I really don't think it's that And with the construction of the 400 apartments, hopefully they'll be using the light rail and will make this mass transit more successful. It also will provide housing for the people that work in Hunt Valley and Sparks. So I think it's a win-win-win as far as economic development. And I would ask our secretary, I don't know if it would be proper to add uncodified language. I really would like to urge the state of Maryland to be more creative when it comes to encouraging the use of the light rail. I think one of the things that we need to do is have express service, that possibly that would increase the usage. And I don't, would that be proper, or would that have to be another bill?
It's usually what is kind of directly related to the bill for uncodified language. We can certainly discuss it offline if you'd like.
Yeah, and I just think that we need to get people to use the light rail. There's nothing where I drive by it every time the train goes by. There's 3 cars and there's 2 people on it, and so you know, we've got to do what we can to encourage usage. Yes. The only negative part of this is our schools are already overcrowded, but I still think this is a good idea. I think that it will probably attract families that maybe aren't going to have as many children. I don't know, but our schools are really overcrowded. But so I move forward with the bill.
Are these mostly 1 and 2 bedroom apartments?
I think there'll be a few 3 bedrooms, I believe. Yeah, okay. A few 3 bedrooms, and I guess the rents will be in excess of $2,000 a month. And the plans are to remodel the entire town center and put in exercise club, et cetera, to try to, all the amenities that will encourage people to rent there. So I think it's, you know, it's an exciting project, and I think it's the way we need to go. There only.
Councilwoman Bevan, do you have a question?
He just said, thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilman Katz, I'm really excited. I just want to say that. I'm really excited to support this. I know that this is a great area for more multifamily housing because it's an opportunity area, and that's exactly where this type of housing needs to be. I couldn't agree with you more with the mass transit, and you know, it gives people the ability to live maybe not on the east side of Baltimore County, but more North County, where they might want to work or have their children attend school. So thank you for putting this bill forth.
I've been looking at this. Councilman Jones, after you.
No, I was just, I too am somewhat excited about the project, only because I know what the Hunt Valley Township has done to the area. I know what used to be there in terms of the Hunt Valley Mall. And I think if you look at the work that Greenberg and Gibbons has done throughout the region, I don't think you could do any better in terms of a high-quality development. So, and a high quality and great people to work with in terms of Greenberg and Gibbons. So, I'm excited for you. And all the time, we normally look at you and your district, and you guys don't want anything up there. And here you are. Shazam!
With overcrowded schools at all.
It's not a horse farm. It's not a horse farm.
Let me just say that
Man.
with this development, that's it.
That's it? That's it?
That's your one.
Well, you got that Erdl. Thank God for that Erdl.
That is it.
Does that include solar farms?
Oh.
Well, Well, I do think, Councilman Katz, I really think this idea in certain VM zones, looking at possible mixed use, I think it's a really interesting idea that we should look at in other parts of the county, especially when we're looking at, hey, how can we do a better job with mixed use and how can we do a better job with economic development? And I think the focus here, in combination with mixed use, I think something to look at, bigger picture as well with the council at some point. And I mean, I'm actually looking at this exact topic now, and I know with this concern of school overcrowding, I've been looking at a lot of statistics. Especially if it's 1 and 2 bedroom, new multifamily, usually it's a lot less kids affecting the school system. When you get into the 3s, then you start getting more kids, of course. But 1s and 2s, a lot of the analysis I've been looking at has very, very low impact on schools, especially in the overcrowded areas. But yeah, I think this looks like a great project.
I've never seen such a reaction from my council mates with a bill that I've put in. I guess you all are stunned.
It's one less in my district.
Should I withdraw?
All right. Any other questions or comments, or any people from the community? Anything? Everybody's good? We good?
Did anyone sign up?
No public speakers? Okay. All right. Everybody good before we move on? All righty. Okay, so let's keep moving forward then. That was item 10. Why don't we go to page 38, Resolution 81-19, Council Members Marks and Bevins.
Okay. Thank you very much. Resolution 8119 sets forth the council's position relative to a wastewater discharge permit requested by the Mountain Christian Church in Joppa, Maryland, in Harford County. Now, you may ask, why are we dealing with an issue that concerns a facility in Harford County? Well, it's because the Mountain Christian Church is located in Harford County in close proximity to the Kingsville community of Baltimore County. Since at least 2017, the church has planned to expand its campus, which will subsequently require a daily sewage treatment capacity of between 2,500 and 5,000 gallons of water. The church is seeking a permit from the Maryland Department of the Environment to discharge up to 5,000 gallons into a tributary that feeds into the Little Gunpowder Falls in the Kingsville area. Now, the Mountain Christian Church clearly adds to the spiritual life of Baltimore and Harford counties. I have deep respect for the work that they do in the community, and I certainly do respect our colleagues in Harford County. But I am very concerned that this was kind of launched with very little input from the Kingsville community, very little notification, it seems, to the county government. The Harford County Council, in fact, amended its water and sewer plan on May 1st, 2018, well over a year ago. And there just was very little communication between that body, that jurisdiction, and Baltimore County. I wanted my colleagues to know that I did reach out to the Harford County Council on June 10th. I did not hear back. I sent an email. I have reached out to the church. Did have some good dialogue with the church. Unfortunately, we were not able to set up a meeting to discuss the concerns that many of my constituents have in the Kingsville area. So the resolution before us puts forward our position since the comment period is closing for this permit request. I think we're going to be hearing from the Gunpowder Riverkeeper. I deeply respect the Gunpowder Riverkeeper's position on this. The resolution, I may seek to amend the resolution so that instead of opposing the permit, we state our support for a no discharge option. Also, I do think the state legislature needs to tighten up its notification requirements when you have a facility proposed like this near an adjacent jurisdiction.
Questions or comments for Councilman Marks? Councilwoman Bevins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councilman Marks, for the work that you've put into this bill. I'm happy to be a co-sponsor. My concerns are the same as yours. However, I'm so worried about the health of the Bird River and the Gunpowder River that both lie in my district. Thank you, and it's unfortunate that the Hartford County Council did not make an attempt to at least communicate with former county council. It's sad to hear. Just say thank you.
Councilman Crandall?
Sure. Councilman Marks, thank you for your work on this. I join Councilwoman Bevins in representing our waterfront communities. And so to that effect, I want to join you as a co-sponsor on the resolution. Mr. Secretary, could you add me on there? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Marks?
And there were 2 public hearings. I think there's been 3 public hearings so far. I attended the one in Joppa, and I know there was one on July 16th in Perry Hall. And my understanding is that there was considerable opposition at both public hearings from the Baltimore County citizens and many of the Hartford County citizens in attendance.
Any other
Mr.
questions?
Chairman.
Councilman Katz?
Yeah, I'm very concerned about this. I'm just asking Councilman Marks, have you been able to, is there any documentation that you've been able to get from the Hartford County Council in regard to this, whether or not they talk about Baltimore County and the possible negative, well, it's going to be a negative effect if this goes through on our waters, and I understand, of course, our riverkeeper is going to testify, but on more specific issues. But have you been able to obtain anything from Hartford County in relation to whether they consider the effect it's going to have on the neighbors, Baltimore County?
I haven't received any documentation. Candidly, I don't know if it's the Hartford County Council's responsibility to provide us that. It certainly would be a gesture of goodwill. I think the state certainly should do a better job of providing that, though. But I have not received any documentation.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to be a co-sponsor as well.
Very well.
So, Councilman, under those, for some projects that MDE holds public hearings in my district, we get notification of those public hearings and a little description of the project. Did you receive that at all?
No, I did not.
Okay. Perhaps because the project is in Hartford County.
It's in Hartford County. I mean, they said it was in the Aegis, if you're familiar with the area I represent in far rural northeastern Baltimore County. The Aegis is a Hartford County newspaper. I don't recall them putting any notification in the Jeffersonian or anything else like that.
Any other questions, comments for Councilman Marks? Everybody good? All right, we do have 2 public speakers today on this resolution. And our first speaker is Theo Legarjour. If you want to come up, you have up to 3 minutes. And then right after Theo, then we have Bill Timick. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council Chair and Council members. I'd like to thank the Councilman Marks and Councilman Bevins for entering this resolution and recognize that Baltimore County has a storied history of land preservation and is nationally recognized for its protective zoning and responsible land use as it relates to waterways. My name is Theo Legarder. I am the director of Gunpowder Riverkeeper, a grassroots nonprofit with over 361 members, many of which live within your districts. And we protect 53 miles of the Gunpowder River and 217 miles of small streams. This issue, as Councilman Marks has aptly put, is a bit disconnected, both on notice and on a resolution for the church's failing septic system. And the optics, to be clear, are not easy to suss out because the church seems to be relying on the state's recommendation for a solution to their failing septic. Some of our members live within close proximity and directly downstream of the church, and the proposal discharge location would empty into Little Gunpowder Falls directly at the Jericho Covered Bridge, which Councilman Marks in the resolution aptly stated was a treasure within 4,000 acres of the middle of Gunpowder State Park. So currently, I wanted to give you a little indication as to my coordination with Harford County, because I have asked the Harford County Council President and councilman in district for courtesy copies of health department records that would allow me to understand how and to what degree the health department knew about this failure and what a resolution would look like. And unfortunately, they've been silent since July 8th, which prompted my organization to file a Freedom of Information Act request, or in the state of Maryland, a Public Information Act request to obtain those records. I also reached out to the church as early as Easter week to ask if I might meet with them to discuss a resolution of this issue without a direct discharge, and they too have been silent. So I think the biggest problem is that Baltimore County has tried. Harford County has not so much as answered, a reasonable request for more information. So I would support this resolution. I do think that it's imperative that the treated wastewater remains on site, that does not result in a direct discharge. And the reason is because state law prohibits a direct discharge into streams such as the one contemplated, because it is not perennial, it is intermittent until all other remedies are exhausted, and they certainly have not been. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Couch?
Yep, very quickly.
Yes, sir.
What about swimming? Are any parts of these bodies of water used for swimming? And if so, what is the present condition of the water where people are allowed to swim?
Currently, the Little Gunpowder Falls is impaired for temperature, which is a silent pollutant, but I have undergone testing and have sent results to an EPA-certified lab in Churchville. It's the same lab that the church uses for its groundwater discharge readings. And currently, Little Gunpowder Falls and the tributary, which is called Indian Grave Run, which the church would be discharging into, are at 300 maximal probable number of E. coli. The safe swimming criteria is 126. So there are people, to your question, that swim and tube at the Jericho Covered Bridge and directly downstream. And there's certainly a simple majority of waterfront property owners in that stretch that are using that waterway for fishing and swimming. And as we move downstream all the way into Joppa, Harford County's health department has recently enacted bacteria testing on a weekly basis at Mariners Point Park, which is part of the gunpowder system, and those tests have come back failing for safe swimming for 8 weeks now.
Councilman Crandall?
Sure. Could you pronounce your last name for us? Because I think the chair may have butchered it pretty good.
Not at all. Lagarder is just fine.
What?
Lagarder.
Lavarker?
Lagarder.
Lagarder.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
Not
Now,
at all.
I did want to touch on the recreational aspect of that whole river system. And I know that our waterways, I'm more familiar with Back River because it's in my district, and significant efforts have been made to improve Back River. So I do know the pressures that are both naturally occurring ones and then pressures that our population puts on our waterways. So it's really concerning that these are recreational. They're part of our natural ecosystem that so many people enjoy in Baltimore County, and we would be adding that much more pressure onto what is already a fragile ecosystem.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Couch?
Yes. Can you is this action in Harford County, is this precedent setting? I mean, is this going to possibly set the stage for other situations like this?
It's a great question because we have contiguous well and septic use on either side of Little Gunpowder Falls. But there's only one other minor wastewater treatment plant, as noted by the Baltimore County planning document for Little Gunpowder Falls Small Watershed Action Plan, only one that has a direct discharge. Everyone else is on well and septic. So if Harford County is interested in growth, this minor wastewater treatment plant idea could certainly impact downstream waterways if it is as you said, a precedent in trying to solve this problem.
Councilman Marks?
Yeah, I just want to thank you. We have corresponded a lot in the past month or so, and you've been very helpful.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for coming today.
Thank you.
Any other? Great, thank you. All right, our next speaker on Resolution 81-19 is Mr. Bill Timmett. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I can probably be right quick. I live at the mouth of the Little Gunpowder on the Harford County side. We have spent, I've probably spent 6 or 7 years now trying to get the county to take that river seriously, Harford County, and they haven't. Currently, besides this, they have a proposal for a big development. They're doubling it, what the presentation is. I'm suggesting that you include in your resolution language asking or directing the Baltimore County executive to try to set up a memorandum of understanding with the Harford County executive. That may not happen, but I think that would be useful. If you're all familiar with the Allender Road Park, almost everybody, every Saturday and Sunday, that park is completely jammed. Now, that's the big Gunpowder, but a lot of the people kayak down that into the Little Gunpowder. You also know anytime there's a wind out of the south or the east, all those waters blow back and forth into each other, the Bird, the Little Gunpowder, and the big Gunpowder. They go past Lorelei Beach, Harewood.
I go all back there.
Yeah, all the way back, and then they swing around, and then you're down to Miami and Turkey Point and Gunpowder Park. That's basically all I want to say. The Harford County right now is not on board with protecting the water. They've rolled back wetlands restrictions. They've rolled back setback restrictions over water. And if we don't begin to call them into account, and I know you can't do it necessarily, but you can at least start the process, the shared waters will get worse. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much. Thank you. Any other questions, comments before we move on?
No, thank you very much.
All righty. Then why don't we do last order of business, I believe, for the day. It's Resolution 82-19, page 40, and that's Council Members Marks, Catch, Crandall, and Patoka. I don't know who wants to start on that one.
Yeah, I'll start on it.
Councilman Marks.
So Resolution 82-19 urges the Maryland General Assembly to consider the creation of a regional management authority to address the future infrastructure needs of the county's public water and sewer system. The County Council in 2010, under then Council Member Kevin Kamenetz, passed a similar resolution. Currently, under the Metropolitan District Act approved by the state legislature almost a century ago, Baltimore City provides water to the Metropolitan District at cost. Water, principally from the 3 reservoirs in the county, is treated, delivered, and distributed to the city to county residents. The city bills for these services at rates designed to reimburse the city at costs. The city operates and maintains all water facilities and infrastructure, and the county pays its share of the cost for facilities in the county. This is a very complex arrangement, and I think all of us on the council have experienced some delays in getting infrastructure repaired. We have constituents who just are confused at how water billing is set. And all this resolution does is ask the state legislature to, again, consider this model. There are regional water systems all throughout the country. Washington, D.C. has had a very successful one, the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, for decades. And it just seems that if we are forward-thinking, we should really be looking at these issues. One final thought, this is not an easy task. There are a lot of employees, a lot of pension issues that are going to have to be considered. This is something that will have to happen over many years. And again, it's not up to us, it's up to the state legislature, but I do think it is a model that our counterparts in Annapolis should be considering.
Councilman Crandall?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And David, once again, thanks for your work and leadership on this. I know we've been discussing it for a number of years now. I will tell my colleagues and you all that one of my angriest 3 days, Mr. Walsh, you remember, was where my constituents, including seniors in a senior high-rise, were left without running water for 3 days. And Baltimore County there was just inaccurate communication between the agencies, where we're ready to bring in water for our constituents, and Baltimore City says, no, we'll have the water turned on in an hour. Well, that kind of situation happened for 3 days, and eventually Baltimore County, not Baltimore City, Baltimore County brought in water, and we had volunteers distribute it. The fire department helped us with that, Public Works helped us with that, and the Department of Health helped us with that. So that was one of the most frustrating 3 days that I've had on the council, and I just think that experience is kind of indicative of what our constituents go through when they either don't know necessarily who to call because there is no regional water authority. They don't necessarily understand that the infrastructure is owned by Baltimore City, although it's our people out, it seems to me, at least doing stopgaps, if I'm correct, Mr. Walsh, at least doing stopgaps until city crews and contractors can get to the problem. So it just seems to me that a 100-year-old metropolitan district, I believe it's a 100-year-old creation, it needs to be rethought. And I think that's what we're asking the General Assembly to do, is can we be doing this better and serving our constituents better? I certainly believe that we can. And Councilman, you are absolutely correct. This is a heavy lift. But if the lift does not start, the tide will not rise for us. I'm mixing metaphors there. But so I think that the General Assembly has sort of kicked this can down the road, but I think there probably is more political will within our partners in Anne Arundel County and perhaps Howard County to, is Howard County part of the Metro District? I'm not sure. I believe they are. Yeah. So I believe that the political will may finally be there, and I think it's certainly appropriate for us, given our experiences and what we've been going through. It's appropriate for us to make this ask at this time.
Councilman Katz?
Yeah, I really don't know where to begin, but I'm not going to take a lot of time. But first of all, we always read about the cave-ins of the streets and roads in streets or in the city, roads or in the county. I've been corrected before about that. But anyhow, caved-in roads because of problems with the water mains, et cetera. Billing from residents of my district, billing which is determined by the city of Baltimore. And I do know a little about the WSSC, and which is the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, which is what we'd like to see created for the metropolitan water system. And everything I hear, it's a pretty smooth operation because their only job is sewer and water. So I think that this is so important that we need to have a separate agency that this is their only task. Water, we all need it. We need clean water. And so this is, I think, the way to go. I know that when I was in the legislature, legislation was introduced, and I know that Councilman Crandall, that one of the delegates in your district put in a bill. Do you know which committee it was assigned to?
I don't recall. Sorry.
Yeah, I think one of the things we can determine what committee and contact our Baltimore County members. I mean, if it's the Environmental and Transportation Committee, that Dana Stein is the vice chair. So I don't know if it goes there or where it goes, but
if I remember correctly, I think it might have gone to Ways and Means.
Ways and Means, okay.
If I remember correctly, don't quote me on that, but I think that's where it went.
Right. Right, okay. Well, we can
investigate that.
contact the chairman of that committee, who's from Montgomery County, very familiar with the WSSC. So, thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Jones?
Marks.
Yes, I certainly appreciate the idea and that's being put forth, and I have to tell you, I'm not 100% up to speed on all the pros and the cons, but I do know, and I guess my question is for the administration, I know that there's a process in place to conduct some review, and I'm just wondering, are we moving too fast? Because I know sometimes you had to set the stage or set the table before you can jump in, and are we moving too fast? Will this upset maybe what we're doing with the review?
I can't say that it upsets it, but as we've talked about, clearly this is a part of the end-to-end review, and our position is, one of the questions is, would it be in our best interest to do so? So it is incorporated. We have this on the table to look at, but Councilmember Crandall, I think you said that it's a multi-year process even to go there, and then the fiscal implications. But it is certainly within our plan to have that question considered and getting recommendations by the independent entity that's going to do the end-to-end. So I can't say that it would change anything that we're doing.
And Councilman Jones, if I could add, I would submit that the investigation that the administration is doing jointly with Baltimore City, that could potentially inform what the ultimate new authority, if we ever get there, what that would look like, and inform, so you take best practices from the Washington, D.C. entity, and you incorporate the things that hopefully the administration and the city learn in the study that they've already begun.
I guess my only concern was, are we coming up with a remedy, a resolution, a plan of action before the investigation is done? We're paying somebody to do an investigation, and then we're under the assumption right now that, because if this is the case, then why bother even do an investigation if we know what the answer is? Suppose we hire this company and the company says, well, that's a heavy lift. I don't recommend you do this. I recommend you shore this up. I recommend you do better here or do better there. I don't know, but I guess that was my question. Are we coming up with are we going to vote on a resolution to something, a plan of action, while we're still investigating what exactly is going on with our relationship and the service and everything else? That was my only question.
Councilman Marks?
I think the county investigation will provide some good short-term solutions, but in the long term, we have to be moving toward a regional model.
Councilman Couch.
Mr. Chairman, the city of Baltimore had almost 1 million residents at one time, and now there's 600 and some thousand. Baltimore County is 820, 830, something like that. So I've looked at, Baltimore County is the largest jurisdiction that's served by the Metropolitan Water District. So times have changed, things have changed, and we need to get a handle of this issue. And I'm sure that if any legislation is passed by the General Assembly, it's going to be a long, involved process. So whatever study is being done, I'm sure will be helpful to the legislature as well when considering this issue.
I think so. And the purpose of the end-to-end is to look at immediate steps we can take, midterm, and then longer term, so that, everyone can make informed decisions, because while you're correct, we are the larger jurisdiction. Baltimore City is around 611,000, and we're upwards of 800,000 individuals in the county. but there's the issues of assets. Hartford County, Baltimore County, Howard County, Anne Arundel, and Baltimore City, and how you come together. We're doing a lot of benchmarking. Even before the end-to-end operational review is done, we're looking at it ourselves, and we are studying systems that have evolved from systems like ours to regional water authorities, so we can see, for ourselves what's happened. We've reached out to NACO to ask what systems have gone through the evolution. We are currently reviewing the Toledo, Ohio experience, which was a 3-year process that they did similar things like we're doing. And at the end of the day, they made the decision to go forward to establish a regional water authority, and then at the very end, they decided not to. So there are different ways it plays out. Plus, there are hybrid models that give more decision-making and authority to the member jurisdictions. So there's multiple options out there. So I think we have to have all of the information before us. One of the biggest issues with the Toledo, what I've been able to read and review, as far as Toledo, it came down to the net assets, because the assets, meaning the water treatment plants, all of the assets associated with the water infrastructure, have to be considered, and the shared, the notion of the shared responsibility and ownership. So there's a lot of things like that. Not just the employees. We're talking about physical assets that are tied to a entity's or a jurisdiction's fiscal, how they manage their fiscal and how they use certain assets from a budgetary standpoint. So there are lots of pieces of it, but I want to assure you that the notion in question of is a regional water authority in the counties and our partners' best interest is a part of what we're asking within the end-to-end review.
Very quickly, have we gotten input from the other counties that are served by the Metropolitan Water District as to whether they've been experiencing the same issues that we do?
No, we have not. We haven't reached out to the counties to ask about their experience. Our issue right now is operational, because there's some immediate things, but the notion of needing to have that broader conversation definitely is there. And we've talked to the city about that, and in our own discussions internally, because we're talking internally weekly. We have weekly meetings on all things water. Internally, we've said that because it's not a decision that just Baltimore City and Baltimore County will be able to make in isolation. Because of the nature of the system now, we have to bring everybody to the table. But it's, this is what public management is. Big infrastructural things of this nature, and we are definitely benchmarking with other jurisdictions across the country.
Other questions or comments from the council on this? And I would just, like to say that hopefully the council and the county executive's office can be really on the same page, kind of same direction, and almost seems like the efforts underway with the county executive's office, as you would say, is end-to-end, really broadly scoped. Maybe this ultimately is where part of where we're headed. I just want to make sure if we're passing a resolution, it's as much in coordination with kind of the whole Baltimore County together, the council and the county executive. So if there's any other language, anything we can do, Steve Walsh, do you have?
Just another point of information. The city-county relationship is unique in that we have that operational relationship.
Right.
The other jurisdictions either buy finished water directly from the system or buy raw water from the system. So their relationships are different with the Metropolitan District than our unique relationship with the city. So just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and it's very complex. I mean, this is something that is so complex. It's really really hard to get your mind around the big system in place for sure. And but I appreciate the spirit of the resolution. I appreciate the concern. Very valid. All of us definitely get that, and just trying to make sure we're all marching the same kind of. That's all I want, is just make sure we're all in this same kind of understandings, working together and just trying to come up with something as a county, I think is important. So, any other questions or comments? Everybody good? All righty. Well, I think that concludes the work session. I wish everybody a very safe travels to your home. Thanks.